What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Country Bunkers Trains. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're having a good week. We've got a new arrival here in the train room. So, of course, the past several days I've been running the wheels off of it and having an absolute blast. As I mentioned in the community post the other day, it's been a couple years, but once again, we have an FM train master here in the train room with us. The train master and I, we kind of have a goofy relationship, if you will. I've always been a big fan of the FM train master. I really do enjoy them. I think they're an awesome engine. I've had few of them now, but I ended up selling off the ones I had previously. The first one we picked up was a post-war classic, the Erie Lackawanna. That was the gray top version, not the super rare maroon top version, but it was a beautiful example. Thing was practically mint. It looked beautiful. It ran great. The only downside with it didn't have its original box, but besides that, yeah, it was like in perfect shape. As you guys know, over the past couple of years, I've been getting big into the scale, modern day stuff, and I ended up selling a lot of my post-war collection, and that was one of the first engines that went. I was sad to see it go, but I really wasn't running it, and we used the money to pick something else up, which we currently have and use here in the train room. The second engine, or FM, I should say, Trainmaster that we had, was a modern-day MTH version, a Virginian. This was equipped with Proto 2. This was a really, really cool engine. Although this was a modern-day premiere, it was kind of done up like a post-war Celebration Series engine. It looked just like a post-war engine. It even had the chrome running boards and handrails on the side of the engine. Like I say, it looked just like a post-war engine. It was really cool. Had the post-war looks, but the running capabilities of a modern-day engine. I did enjoy that engine quite a bit, but I really didn't have it that long. Again, as I was getting into the more scale modern-day stuff, yeah, it was a modern engine, but it really didn't fit in with my modern equipment that I was picking up. And I found myself, I wasn't running it a whole lot, so I ended up selling that one too. And that brings us to our latest acquisition, this brand new MTH Premier Jersey Central Line's FM Trainmaster. Check this thing out. Isn't this thing gorgeous? It's beautiful. Now, I did purchase this thing with the thought in mind, this might not be a forever engine. I might not hold on to it for forever. I might enjoy it for a little bit and then end up selling it a little bit later on down the road. Kind of like I did with my previous Trainmasters. But I tell you what, the longer that I've run this thing, the more that thought has escaped my mind. I've really become enamored with this engine. It's really an impressive little engine. It's quite impressive, as a matter of fact. Now, a lot of people ask me in the short video I posted on this, as well as the community post, well, Zach, when did you become such a fan of the Jersey Central Lines or the CNJ? And to be honest, as you guys know, I'm not a huge rail fan or railroad history buff, anything like that. Honestly, I was just quite attracted to this engine. You don't see a whole lot of CNJ engines, it seems like. This one was quite a bit different, and it really caught my eye. Along with that, as you guys know, we already have a CNJ F3 that we pre-ordered a couple years ago. I thought these two would look pretty good together running around on the layouts. And I tell you what, I think I nailed that. These things look perfect together roaming around the layouts. As I mentioned, this is a brand new engine from MTH. This was offered on their website in late April of 2022 and started showing up at dealers this last October. There's been several different custom runs for various dealers and whatnot. I couldn't begin to tell you how many variations are out there, but I can tell you from the factory, MTH offered 4 versions of this engine. The CNJ that we see here, a Virginian, a Reading, and a demonstrator unit. All of these engines sported their own road-specific details, which is really, really cool. These engines sport die-cast truck sides, pilots, and fuel tanks, metal chassis, handrail, and horns, hand-painted figures in the cab, metal wheels, axles, gears, and body side vents, remote-controlled proto-couplers on each end, they are Katy coupler compatible, Rule 17 lighting, LED headlights, marker lights, cab lights, and number boards, 2 precision flywheel-equipped motors, operating proto-smoke smoke system, as always from MTH, a great smoking engine, has an onboard DCS and DCC decoder. This engine comes equipped with Proto Sound 3 with freight yard sound effects, The engine measures 17 inches long and comes with a minimum recommended curve of 0.42. This one's very friendly to smaller layouts with tighter curves. This really is a beautiful engine to watch roam around the layouts. But I tell you, to really appreciate what a fine model this is, you kind of got to get up close. There's a bunch of beautiful details applied to this engine that they kind of get muted out when you're staring at it from afar or just watching it run around. What do you guys say we get up close and take a quick peek at it? Let's start out at the front of the engine. Let's begin with the pilot. On the pilot, you'll notice these separately applied MU hoses, and these are actually rubber. It's a really nice touch. They're flexible. A lot nicer than having them molded in or just being a piece of hard plastic kind of glued to the front. I really think that's a nice touch. Moving up, we do have a coupler cut bar. Pretty standard nowadays, but still really neat. And even more so, kind of the same thing up here. We have this drop plate or walkway. This is for if you're doing a lash up, you can drop these down and the crew member can navigate between the engines. Again, this is really standard nowadays, but it's still really cool to see. Moving up some more, we can see some of the beautiful paintwork, details and logos, or decals I should say. They're not decals, everything's painted on here. But moving up a little more, this is where it really starts to get cool. I mentioned how all the different variations have their own road-specific details, and that's where this starts to kick in. On this particular model, you'll notice we actually have two headlights or headlight openings on this. I'll try and get a picture to sneak it in here on the video. Some of these engines had a big headlight right here that took up this whole hole or circle. This engine actually has a cover installed and has two headlights. That's a really nice touch. And then up here on the top, this bell is a road-specific detail to this engine by itself, mounted above the headlight. Other models, especially the Virginian, that was the only one I actually saw besides this one in person, but the bell was mounted in another location on that engine. Moving on to the side profile, the coolness continues on. My favorite aspect, or one of my favorite aspects on this engine, is all the different see-through grills and vents. There's a ton of them on this engine, and these things look fantastic. I know the lighting's not really doing it justice right now, but yeah, these things look great. And of course, along with that, we got our beautifully detailed handrails, our red painted fuel caps, and tanks down below. For the cab, it does have moving windscreens or adjustable windscreens. The Virginian actually had the apron over the window, whereas this one does not, just the windscreens. Again, a nice little road-specific detail to this engine. And then, of course, we do have the horns on the sides as well. There's one on this side behind the cab facing rearward, and there's another one on the front of the cab facing forward on the other side. My absolute favorite detail for this engine, though, and honestly, one of the main reasons I purchased this engine, is the beautiful vent work and fan work here on the nose on top. This looks fantastic. This see-through grill, you see the fans back there? They do spin if you blow on them. But yeah, I mean, this looks fabulous, in my opinion. Again, this is actually one of the reasons why I purchased this engine. You know, when you're running these things, you're normally viewing them, looking down at them, and yeah, that's going to be one of the details that jumps out at you. So I think it's fantastic. These do serve another purpose as well. This is actually the cover for your conventional control switches that are underneath. I will say you do have to be extremely careful handling this. These vents are obviously quite fragile, so when you're trying to pull this cover off, if you pinch it too hard, the vents will start to bend and whatnot. I will say this cover is extremely tight on my particular model. I have no reason to get in there. It does everything I need. It's already set up the way I have it. So I don't want to risk damaging anything. I'm not going to pull this off. I have no reason to. But if you do need to, again, just take note that that's quite fragile. I do want to add the back of the engine has the exact same details as the front. Looks exactly the same. One thing I did forget to add while we were looking at the front, we also got this, I don't know what these are. They kind of look like conduit and junction boxes. This is a real nice touch. Again, if you guys know what it is in the comments, please let me know. But they're on the rear as well. I would show you, but we're tied up to the speaker right now. But yeah, guys, what do you think? Isn't she a beaut? Obviously, of course, we're about to take it for a spin here in just a moment. The sound set on this engine is extremely good. In fact, the engine startup sequence is probably one of the best I've heard out of modern day MTH. I will add, however, the freight yard sound effects. They're a little bit of a letdown, a little bit of a disappointment. It's basically just radio chatter, but it's very muffled and garbly. You really can't understand what the guys on the supposed radio are saying. It really reminds me of the old TMCC days, the old TMCC engines, where it was just a guy mumbling kind of sound effect. But I can definitely overlook that. To be honest with you, I turn my trains on and let them run. I don't really use the passenger freight sound effects all that often, so it doesn't really bug me. But if that is something you're into, it's something to take into account. Let's go ahead and fire her up. As always, we'll be using the extended sound sequences throughout the video. Here's the horn. And the bell. Now we're not going to have an extremely long train behind this today. Today we're going to move her out with all those new cars we didn't get to see running in our last video. All of these cars are the new arrivals as well here to the train room. Let's go ahead and move her out.
next shift.
I hope you guys enjoyed this quick peek at the brand new MTH Premier CNJ FM Trainmaster. If you guys are on the fence about picking one of these new Trainmasters up, I would highly recommend go ahead and do so. I don't know how long they're going to last. But if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. It would be much appreciated. But anyways, guys, until next time, my name is Zach, and this is Country Bunkers Trains. Y'all take care. I'll see you the next go-round.